Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Kenneth and I'm from Singapore and I'm an illustrator and I usually paint animals, but this time I'm drawing a model from Malaysia. Her name is Bob Low and she's one of my favorite models. So this video will be about 15 minutes long, so if you're in the rush, please check the timestamps that will be living in the description box. So in this video I will also be reviewing the new paint palette that I bought from a local art store known as Straits Art, and it was a moment of decision from my friend Richard, and I knew that I had to get it the same day I saw it, because when I saw it's an artist limited edition. It's a collaboration between Rebecca Green and Holbein, the brand from Japan, and this medium I wasn't really sure whether it's gouache or acrylic, and I only found out when I went to the store and asked specifically what does it mean, acrylic gouache, and so it means that it's water soluble like gouache, so you can mix it like watercolor, and it's thicker, but once it dries up it will be heavy like acrylic. It will dry up and it's not water soluble anymore. So for your color palette that you mix the color, gotta be really careful in choosing your material, because when the color dries up it thickens like the acrylic and you're not being able to wash off, and I don't know whether you need to scrub it off, because I use a disposable plate that you use for the parties, and it's really a dispensable idea that I thought that would be quite what I usually use for acrylic paints. So for this painting I will start with the color. For making the color for the skin, and getting the right color can be quite tricky, because I have to estimate the amount of paint that I have to mix before I start washing over on the paper, and getting the right redishness or the yellowishness, skin tone. All of us have different skin tone, and under different lighting or environment the color changes. So, and everybody have different preferences, especially the artists online, they are known for maybe specific color palette, and if you change it too drastically, people might get a different feel from your artworks. So this time I'm using what the color palette already has, and so I already saw the pamphlet, and I saw the color that she made the ash yellow and white. So by the way, this color palette do not have black and white, and she recommends to get them separately, which I think is really a good idea, because she can have two more extra colors that she can fit into this color palette, so that we can use, while the white and black we could always get it easily, because they are the most common colors used in artworks. So I'm really liking the mix of colors that we have in this color palette, because it's quite close to what I usually use, like there's a tone and warm tone to the greens and the blues and yellow, and even there's a gold included, which I didn't know until I opened it up, and I thought it was yellow ochre until I printed it out, and I got a shock. Wow, it's actually gold. So gold, I think it causes more than the usual color. So I'm really quite pleasantly surprised that we have gold in this color palette, and so I'm starting to get some of the favorite colors in here. So we have the vermilion, cover red, mustard, ash yellow, emerald green, sap green, pale aqua, smart blue, ash blue, burnt sienna, sepia, and gold. So I think some of us definitely use one or two or more than a few colors that are in the color palette. So it really caters to most of us, if not all of us, who are starting out and also professional artists. It's like the usual fresh paint. They have a certain consistency that we all love, and it's soft, and you have the richness before you add the water and then you mix it. So you have that right here, and this is really one of the color set that I bought that I really like the fluidity of the medium. Because the previous set that I bought, well, I'm quite a cheapo, so I haven't really bought not many color palette. I usually buy per tube, because every time I buy a set, there will be one or two tubes that do not have the same consistency as the rest, so I'm quite frustrated about that. And I don't really use all the colors in the color palette, so it can be quite a waste to buy the whole thing and then not use all of it. So this particular set really is really useful for me, because I don't have to buy extra paint, because the colors that I really like and love are all already here. So I'm really happy with the purchase that I have here. I got this set for $50 in Singapore currency, and so I really use it as a motivation to carry on painting, because I haven't been painting for a long while, because I lost the motivation and inspiration, because it seems really hard to get the idea that I have in my mind and put it down onto the paper. And so I struggled a lot of that for the past time I've been away. So this time I'm back to painting models again. It's something that I really like, painting humans, and one of my art inspiration is Little Thunder. So that's why I got back to this again. And so I really like the behavior of this paint that I have in this set, because they can mix very well. I don't really have a problem with them. Yeah, so except for the skin color, maybe I will be getting extra tubes for that, but otherwise this set is really flawless. I think one of the tricky part of using this medium, because it's not either acrylic, not either gouache, so it's both combined in one, so it can be a little tricky at times when you want to mix on the paper, and it doesn't do that because it dries up quite fast. And because usually when I paint, I usually paint under a fan, so that actually speeds up the evaporation rate or the drying rate. So that can be quite a tricky obstacle. So you got to be quite fast, or maybe you can innovate different ways, or maybe you can slow down the evaporation rate by working in an air-conditioned room or some. I don't know, but for colder countries, evaporation rate is lower. But if you're in a tropical climate, like in Singapore, you got to worry about the evaporation rate if you are working with this medium. And so and you can see on my paper, the skin is not really evenly painted. You can see the brush stroke layer over layer, because the previous layer has already dried up. So if you are working wet on wet, maybe you got to add more colors the next time. Maybe I will bear that in mind when I work on the future portraits. So if you are here to listen about the review, I think my review ends here. Well, this particular time lapse, I think is some of my first few times filming the whole painting process, and so working in outward petitions and postures might have affected the painting a little, but I'm quite happy what it has turned out. So it's somewhat really my process, the actual, and this figure has been sped up by about I think 160% to even 700%. So it's not really my working pace is actually much slower than what you see in the video. I would actually admit that I'm actually a faster worker, and but working with the watercolor and working with very thin lines and thin brushes, it really it forces me to slow down to really make every stroke, because they are permanent and I'm not able to remove it. But for this color palette, this color set, I think it helps me to cover some of my small mistakes. I'm not sure if you can have noticed in my video, there are some splatters that you see, but I kind of overlay it with small dots, just a small drop of paint, and then just leave it there and it disappears. So I'm quite amazed with that, and I will probably use the same technique for the next time, because when I'm using a big brush, when I give it a big wipe and I lift off from the paper, the splash will splatter onto the light areas, and then it can appear as mistakes, but very ugly ones. So I will get frustrated with that. Also might embrace it as part of the artwork. Yeah, so it's really up to your preference if you're a clean worker or a dirty worker. I don't know. Okay, that's so dirty. Let's stop it. Well, thank you for coming to this end of the video, and I really appreciate that coming down here. And if you like the video, if you want to see more, you have to comment, please leave it below. And thank you so much for that. And you're ending the video very soon.